We're hearing from three women who are speaking out for the very first time about their experience under the care of Dr. Brian Hyatt. I'm Joe Ellison. Now, Dr. Hyatt, the former Arkansas State Medical Board chairman and former head of the behavioral health unit at Northwest Medical Center, is now charged with 2 counts of Medicaid fraud. This comes as more than 40 of his former patients have filed separate lawsuits claiming Hyatt held them against their will in order to collect more money. 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley and photojournalist Laura Castleman sat down with the 3 women who say they're former patients of Dr. Hyatt and they're ready to share their stories.
This video shows Rogers psychiatrist Dr. Brian Hyatt being booked into the Benton County Jail in October after Rogers police arrested him on felony charges of Medicaid fraud. Dr. Hyatt had been under investigation for months. An arrest affidavit says Dr. Hyatt claimed to treat patients he never saw and billed under the highest possible code. According to court documents, investigators found Dr. Hyatt's Medicaid claims were so high they skew the averages on certain codes for the entire Medicaid program in Arkansas. These alleged charges come on top of dozens of lawsuits from former patients detailing alleged abuse under Dr. Hyatt's care in the behavioral health unit at Northwest Medical Center, Springdale. Trella Elam says she was one of Hyatt's patients there, and claims made in those lawsuits line up with the experience she had during her stay in 2019.
It wasn't like we were there to get mental help. We were there to be contained, is what it felt like. To be contained and controlled.
Elam, along with Brooke Stewart and Maddie Dana, are not part of any pending litigation against Hyatt, but say after years of silence, they're ready to share their stories.
This is so widespread, and it affects everybody involved. It really does. I saw a lot of things, and the people I was in there with saw a lot of things. The friends I have who've been there saw a lot of things and were treated horribly.
Elam and Stewart say they were admitted to Northwest Health in January 2019 and were roommates in the behavioral unit.
My first 10 minutes in there, I knew I was in danger.
Stewart says she was sedated during a large part of her stay.
When I would wake up in those first 3 or 4 days, they would just give me a shot to go back to sleep.
None of the 3 women feel they received the care they needed from Hyatt.
I felt like I got more therapy from the other people, the other patients in the hospital than I did anybody else there.
And all 3 women say they feel as if they were simply there to fill beds and take medicine.
You're there to take medication, whether you like it or not, and just wait until they feel like you can leave.
The arrest affidavit says Dr. Hyatt claimed to treat patients he never actually saw. This video from the Attorney General's office, obtained by 5 News, shows Hyatt making his rounds. It shows him going from room to room without entering any of them. Dana says she experienced this firsthand during her stay.
You are essentially waiting for him to do his rounds so that you could figure out if you're going home that day or not, or how long he wants you to stay, talk about your medication. You're supposed to be talking about, how you're feeling. Rarely did you ever get even one of those out of that. He might ask you how you doing, move on to the next person. Barely anything was said.
According to the affidavit, other providers claim Dr. Hyatt told staff members not to tell patients who he was and wanted to mark out his name on patients' wristbands, which all 3 say lines up with their experience.
They said he was on vacation, and they said that somebody else was filling in for him.
They kept telling me he was on vacation, you'll be released when he gets back. It was 12 days, and then he finally the doctor came in, and I was like, well, that's the same doctor that I've been seeing. He goes, I'm Dr. Hyatt, and you're going home. And I'm like, but you're the same doctor I've been seeing. So that doesn't make any sense.
The lawsuits claim Dr. Hyatt kept patients at Northwest as long as possible to get more Medicaid funding. In May, Dr. Hyatt's legal team told our content partners at Arkansas Business, quote, Medicaid billing is a complicated and not always consistently administered system that does not make it easy for providers. Dr. Hyatt was formally charged with 2 counts of Medicaid fraud on November 29th. Northwest Medical tells 5 News Dr. Hyatt has not been associated with the hospital since May 2022. The hospital said in a statement to 5 News, "Last spring, we undertook a number of actions to ensure our patients' safety, including hiring new providers responsible for the clinical care of our behavioral health patients in early May 2022. Dana says she stayed at Northwest again in July 2023, and it was a much different experience.
It seemed like they genuinely cared about, what people had to say at that point. I feel like they were, things were running more smoothly. Yeah, absolutely. Way different.
As all 3 say they're still healing from their experience under Dr. Hyatt's care, they wanted to share their stories in support of other patients doing the same.
I can't help but wonder how many people could be still with us and how many families are hurting that could have family members still here today. And that's another reason why I felt the need to speak up, because there's people that can't. They really need to have their voices heard, I feel like, and that's why we have to do this for them.
In Springdale, covering news where you live, Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.
Well, 5 News has reached out to Hyatt's attorneys for comment regarding the claims of Dana, Elam, and Stewart, but he and his lawyers have not responded.